Hello, Professor. I hope everything is well with you. And this is the presentation for Shemesh and the Infernal PowerPoint. The hero Dante. Here's a little background about him. The reason I claim that Dante is an anti-hero, not just specifically a hero, is the fact that he had to be redeemed. Throughout his journey in hell, he had to be redeemed. He went through many different trials, and it was revealed later on through his mistakes in his real life that he not only could have changed those outcomes if he was just a better person, but if he wasn't so blood hungry and just blinded by what the church was doing, he could have just been a better person all around. But he was definitely not a pure hero in terms of epics that we've read so far. Dante's culture. Coming from the times of the Crusade, he was taught by war. Dante was seen as not only as a frontliner, but someone with great war skill, meaning that he was highly sought after and respected. But through all of this war, his ideals were transformed to view anything that wasn't actually protecting as less. That being other people that weren't under his church's rule or anything like that, or he started to see himself as a more respectable being in his society. During this time, the church was all powerful, and through the church, he was seen as a very strong, prominent figure, and he was seen as an extremely influential figure as well. And being that Dante was a strong figurehead in war times, he was extremely respected. A quote from the Inferno I used was, I bowed my head. It was low. The poet said, "What are you? What are your thoughts?" In answer, I replied, "Oh, how many sweet thoughts was great desire have brought them to woeful pass." Canto 5. In these moments, we see that Dante is not only just thinking about everything that is going on, he is reminiscing over the sweet thoughts that he once had. It just puts in perspective how lost his feelings were in these moments. Even though the poet has asked him, "What are your thoughts?" he really can't respond due to the fact that he just seems so overwhelmed. The hero Rustam, best known as the greatest hero in Iranian Palestinian. He had many great feats that included taming the extremely wild, powerful steed. He killed the crazy white elephant. He donned an amazing pelt of the panther. Rustam seemed to be almost a force in nature. He was extremely powerful. He definitely represented everything that was truly a hero. His death was caused by his half brother when he was thrown into a wall of poisonous spears, which also killed his other half brother and his trusty steed, sadly. The comparison between Dante would be Dante being a very stern and brutal fighter. He really lacked the empathy that Rustam had. Coming from two different societies, one extremely rooted in church philosophy and war, while the other was definitely rooted in pride and feats of strength. Both were objects of their own society that went on to create extremely long legends. A quote from Shemesh would be by the hairs of his head they dragged him, Shawish, unto the desert place, and the sword of Juruz, and planted in the breast of the royal cedar. But when it was done, they had severed the head from the trunk. A mighty storm arose over the earth, and the heavens were darkened. The fact that Rustam could have prevented this tragedy, I would say that could have happened throughout this story. He could have stopped this, but he didn't. This shows not only the divine impact that the character had, being that the sky blackened itself literally. This shows the impact that not only a side character can have, but the main character can have. This could be personified as the main character's empathy or loss of a great friend, as the world literally blackened itself from the loss of one. Overall, Dante being the type of character he was defined by his contribution to society, that being a brutal aspect such as being extremely controlling and sometimes lying to the point where he was going to be condemned to hell if he had died at that time. He had committed various monstrosities that anyone would have thought were wrong, but through his journey in hell, he learned a better way and was redeemed afterwards. He was molded during this time in the real world through battle and gore, only respecting the church and using that as an outlet of violence. Rustam, being the character that he was a legend. He went through many trials just like Dante. Through those trials, they molded him to become a better character as well. He, on the other hand, was more of an empathetic character, also having emotion in the real world before his death. He trusted a little too much of his brother, but that put that aside, he actually, in my opinion, was a better character because the trials he went through seemed to be a little bit harder, being the elephant, the panther, and those futures that through those feats at an extremely young age really set him apart from Dante. Even though they could be considered superhuman, he just seemed to be better than Dante. Then after that, that's my works cited page. Thank you for listening.